So, y'all, I'm a Scorpio rising, and I just got done talking to somebody who's a Scorpio sun about this eclipse portal, and it was so good. I just think I might have to put it up. And I wrote it down too, because I'm a wild astrologer. So, I was explaining to them that most of what comes up for everybody during eclipse isn't really able to be processed for a lot of people, not for everybody, until like the beginning of the next lunar cycle. So, next month is the beginning of the lunar cycle, a new lunar cycle, no matter if you follow sidereal or Western astrology, right? And I was basically saying, like, wait until the Libra, Virgo, new moon next month, which is like October 21st. Yeah, it is. That's when you will be able to really process and put into words like what this eclipse portal was about for you. So I was explaining that, and they were asking like, how does this impact Scorpios? And I'm a Scorpio rising, like I just said, and it's a journey. So all water signs were deeply, 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 deeply impacted by this moon, right? By the moon that happened on Sunday, September 7th, 2025, which was a total lunar eclipse and a full moon in Pisces. And so there was a trine between all the water signs with the full moon, right? And so, number one, the best way, the best way to know exactly how this impacts you, but especially for people who have like Scorpio energy, is to pull up your natal chart or to pull up your progress chart. And in order to get both of those charts, you have to know your birthday, birth time, and birth location. And then it's important that you not only know where your planets and your asteroids are, it's important that you know your houses also. That's why it's important to know your location in your birth time, because that helps out with like your angles of, and so your houses, right? And the houses are like the particular flavor that you will experience, in addition to the planets or the asteroids that could be in Scorpio. So that's the best way to know. If you really want to dive even deeper, you can go into your decan, you can go into your degrees, you can go into your minutes, and you can also go into your seconds in your astrological charts. So progressed, natal, etc. So why am I saying all this, and why am I only specifically talking to Scorpio energy? And that's because Lilith, which is the dark side of the moon, so it's the part of the moon that doesn't face Earth, right? It is currently transiting through the Scorpio constellation. And during the Pisces new moon, or during the Pisces full moon and total lunar eclipse, it was having a lot to say because it was in Pisces home house, the 12th house, right? And so Lilith is all about self empowerment. Lilith is all about the ways in which nobody's going to help you. It might even represent the ways in which you have been oppressed and suppressed. So it's kind of like Pluto and Saturn, but like on steroids, right? That's what Lilith represents. Well, Pluto, Chiron, and Saturn, if they all came together and had a super baby, that's what Lilith, in my opinion, represents, okay? And so it represented a lot for Scorpio energy and also for the collective up until a certain point, because collectively right now, Lilith is in Scorpio. Um, a lot of things around ancestral trauma might be coming up, like psychic baggage and karmic ties might be coming up, okay? And so that's really, really important to know. And since there is a trine, so a trine is a surge of flow, and the surge of flow is happening between all the water signs. And since the full moon was in Pisces and Lilith is in Scorpio, it's really asking us about the deep waters, the unconscious or more somatic parts of who we are that will be coming up right now. And so this also might be like these ancestral contracts, these ancestral emotional ties, this karmic baggage, this psychic baggage that you have, right? It will come up through dreams, through triggers, and also in body memory or body knowing. That's what the full moon for Scorpios really represented, right? That just passed this past Sunday. And what Scorpio is really pushing people with Scorpio energy to do is to release inherited psychic baggage. So, around old family coping mechanisms, emotional repression, and also survivalist behavior. And also with the full moon being in Pisces, the Pisces full moon being in the third house rules over your voice, it rules over storytelling, and it rules over nervous system regulation, right? And so what this past full moon was asking you is, how is like trauma spoken about in your family? How do you speak about your pain? And then how do you acknowledge or talk about or remember ancestors who have crossed over and are no longer in the physical? Can you only think about that they're not here anymore? Because a lot of people who have Scorpio energy, your ancestors who protect and watch over you or who journey with you, are asking you to remember the time that you had with them and to remember what their life represented and the love they showed you and the lessons that they taught you. That is what they would like you to remember, not the specific moment that caused them to transition or become an ancestor. And for me, I got that big surge and that big knowing as a Scorpio rising, but also as a Gemini sun in 2021 during the solar eclipse, because my brother passed away in 2019. And he was really able to say those things to me, right? Okay. So I really wanted to talk about that because that is collectively coming up for all Scorpio energy, but specifically for people with Scorpio energy in your big six, or if you have a Scorpio stellium. Now, with this being an eclipse portal, you have the second big moment of this eclipse portal happening on September 21st, 2025. And that is the Virgo new moon. And it's also a solar eclipse, but the moon will only be in Virgo for a hot moment before it goes void of course and then goes into Libra for this lunar cycle. And for Scorpio's energy, Lilith, or the dark side of the moon, will still be in Scorpio. But then by that point, September 21st, it will be in the 10th house. The 10th house is governed by Capricorn and Saturn. It typically houses your MC, which is an angle in any of your astrological charts. And collectively, it is the highest part of our chart. So with Lilith being in Scorpio, in the 10th house, it's really saying to people with a lot of Scorpio energy that if you've done a lot of the releasing around ancestral trauma, repressed emotional, I can't even talk anymore, repressed emotions, my gosh, then you're really setting yourself up to realign with your life path, especially because the Virgo during the Virgo new moon and solar eclipse, Scorpio's energy again will be trining with other water signs. So the North Node is in Pisces, which really governs like your destiny in Western astrology, but overall a surge of energy or a place that you will be here to learn a lot of lessons in. And so, with that being in Pisces, it's really saying to align to your highest destiny, or yeah, your highest self, your highest destiny, your highest timeline. And then it's also trining the descendant line, which is typically associated with your seventh house or with Venus or with partnerships and relationships. And what this is specifically asking you to do is to investigate how those ancestral patterns, especially the repressed ones, the unconscious ones, the inherited ones, deeply impacted relationship dynamics, partnerships, friendships, very close friendships, romantic partners, people who will be life partners for you, and family, right? And it's also a time period where you can discover for a lot of Scorpios who might be an unknown enemy, 12th house energy, and becoming a known enemy, 12th house energy. So a lot of time we're using that Virgo energy to practice discernment, to learn who's for you and who's not for you, right? So yeah, this is what we talked about, and I was just super happy to like come on and pass this information because I think it might be able to help a lot of Scorpios out there. Bye y'all.